Hi, welcome to Amanda's Book Corner. I'm Amanda, and this is my review of Firekeeper's Daughter by Angeline Boulley. November is Native American Heritage Month, and so I decided to start November with a couple of books written by Native American authors. Now, the one I've been most excited to read was Firekeeper's Daughter. It came out last March, and I've been anticipating it for months already at that point. I was really drawn in by the cover. I mean, look at the cover. Isn't it beautiful? Isn't it stunning? I was really excited when it was coming out, and then I was thrilled when Book of the Month chose it as one of their add-ons in April, so I purchased it there, and I've just been waiting for the right time to read it, and now that November is here, I decided this is the perfect time. Firekeeper's Daughter is set in northern Michigan, right on the border by Canada, and it focuses on Donis, an 18-year-old who has just finished high school and is about to start college. Donis is biracial. Her father is Native American, Ojibwe, and her mother is white. And she's always felt a little bit in between both of her cultures, a little bit conflicted between the different sides of her family. She also has a half-brother who's a few months younger than she is, on her dad's side, and although she and her brother are pretty close, their families are pretty strained relationships. It's summer 2004 when the book opens, and we get to know Donis and her friends pretty quickly early on. She has a best friend named Lily. She spends a lot of time with her brother and his hockey friends, and Donis is also very close to the elders in her community as well. There's also a new guy in town named Jamie, who's part of the hockey team. And although Donis has kind of a thing against hockey players, she does start to develop feelings for Jamie. However, things go really wrong one day when there's a murder-suicide involving one of Donis's friends. And heavily related to that is the growing presence of meth in her community. Suddenly, Donis is thrust into an undercover role helping the FBI as they try to figure out where this particularly strong meth is coming from, who's distributing it, and how they can stop it from further devastating her community. Around the time the book was coming out, I heard the author describe Firekeeper's Daughter as a sort of Native American Nancy Drew, and that really captured my attention right away. I loved Nancy Drew growing up. It was one of my favorite series, and I was excited to see a kind of new take on this undercover girl detective role, but with a different cultural twist to it. I am not Native American, but I always really love getting to know different cultures, and in this book it was no exception. I love how the author really infused Firekeeper's Daughter with a lot of Ojibwe culture and tradition, and even the language that they speak, which I'm not going to attempt here because it looks like a kind of tough language. I really enjoyed getting the chance to learn about the Ojibwe culture, and I think Donis is actually the perfect character to give you a chance to get to know the culture. She's very proud of her Ojibwe cultural identity, and I love seeing how, for example, she always thanks the river each time she crosses the river, and how she's aware of these different stories that are passed down from the elders. It's clear that it's a big part of her everyday life. But I also like that with Jamie, who is also Native American, although he doesn't know what his background is. I like that she kind of teaches him along the way early on in the book, and we, the readers, get to kind of eavesdrop on these conversations and learn along with Jamie at the same time. I also think Donis is just a wonderful character in her own right. She's really intelligent, she's strong-willed, she's brave, she's resilient. You could say she's the perfect person to be an undercover investigator. She's really good with chemistry, and in fact that's what she plans to continue studying when she goes to college, and that really helps with her understanding of meth and its production. But she's also very inquisitive, and she doesn't really let anyone get in her way, and I like that. Of course, Donis is 18, going on 19, and she's definitely going through a lot of different feelings in regards to her family, but also in regards to this new guy, Jamie. So I mentioned before that she had kind of a crush on him, and throughout this book you can kind of see her really conflicted feelings about him. On the one hand, she does have a romantic interest in him, but she also feels angry at him and betrayed by him, and there's a lot of drama between them. It makes sense for their age, late teens, early 20s, but I think it really makes sense for who they are and where they're at this point in their lives. While Donis and Jamie are investigating this meth that's devastating her community, Donis is also grieving people that she's lost, including a family member and a friend. She's grappling with what her future holds and what she wants to do with her future. It's just a lot of coming-of-age elements that are really involved with her character throughout this whole book. And Firekeeper's Daughter does really involve a lot of different themes, and it portrays them so well and with such nuance. And I will warn you, there are tough themes in here. You might want to look up some content warnings before reading it, because it does include sexual assault and rape and drug abuse and drug addiction and grieving, murder, suicide, cheating, complex family issues. There really is a lot of stuff in here, and the author does a really great job of portraying them with care and with sympathy, but in a way that makes sense for Donis and her perspective on things. And regarding the issue of drugs specifically, I like how it portrays how a community can be susceptible to drugs and why that is, and why certain people are more likely to turn to creating and distributing it as well, but also what those negative effects really are and how it can really devastate people who are addicted and the people who love them. It's not just portraying addicts and people who distribute the drugs as completely evil. There are underlying issues behind that kind of make them susceptible to it, and I think it really does show everything with empathy, which I appreciate. Now, Firekeeper's Daughter is a YA novel, and I have been kind of moving away from YA novels recently just because although I'm really drawn to their premises and the kinds of characters that they highlight, I often feel like they don't quite hit me the same way adult novels do. And that's no slight against YA novels, but it is something that I've kind of noticed in myself, at least in the last several months, that I'm kind of pulling away from them. Now, Firekeeper's Daughter is a YA novel, as I mentioned, but I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed it as much as I enjoy adult novels. And I think part of that is because it does seem to be written for an older YA audience. Instead of younger teens, it looks like it's made for older teens and people in their early 20s even. So while it definitely appeals to that target audience, I think it also appeals to people who are older. I think really anyone of any age can enjoy this book because it packs so much into it. It's witty and it's sharp and it's tender, and it really infuses the Ojibwe culture throughout, and I just really enjoyed the whole thing. One other thing that I just want to mention that I loved is that it is set in 2004, and 2004 was my year. While Donis was finishing high school at that time, I was starting high school, and I just loved seeing these different references to things that kind of shaped my cultural identity when I was 14 years old. You know, mentioning Hoobastank, who I loved back then, thanks to The Reason, and I don't know, Hilary Duff movies and things. Things that I just remember from 2004, and really just the early mid-2000s time that really shaped my cultural identity. It was kind of fun to go back in time because it's not, it's not like historical fiction yet, but it is far enough in the past that it was interesting to revisit. So I really loved Firekeeper's Daughter. It completely met and even exceeded my expectations for it. I'd been so excited for it, and I was just so happy that the book was everything I wanted it to be. So I give it 5 stars. I will definitely be reading more from Angeline Boulley in the future. This is only her first book, but I'll definitely be looking out for her second one. And I'm also really excited because I understand that Firekeeper's Daughter is being adapted into a Netflix miniseries. So I'm really excited for that. I think it comes out next spring 2022. So I will definitely be watching that as soon as it's available. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like, comment, and subscribe. And to make sure you don't miss any more of my videos, please ring the bell to get all my notifications. I'll be publishing at least 1 or 2 book review videos like this one every week. And in the next few weeks, I'm also going to start putting out additional content that you won't want to miss. So thanks for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye!